What's up, everybody? It is your boy, Carolina David, coming at you again with another video. On today, I'm going to show you um this video that I watched today from uh Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder. He did this was some years ago, matter of fact, when he did it. I think it was like 2018 or something like that. But I want to show you this video where it says um male privilege is a myth. Changed my mind. And I'm not gonna show the whole thing, it's just a certain part I want to talk on. Let's get into it.
Let's talk with Carolina David. Let's talk with Carolina David. Let's talk with Carolina David. Let's talk with Carolina David.
I'm about to go ahead and show y'all the video right now. It's a certain part where I'm gonna just skip through because I want y'all to see some things right quick. Okay, here's the part where I'm gonna let y'all see where it started, spearheading into black and white. The topic of it was male privilege is a myth. Changed my mind. But here's where it started getting off track at. And it stayed that way throughout the whole video.
And sorry, I hope you're still comfortable. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable.
No, it's fine.
I feel this has been respectful, and you've been very polite. So again, the systemic differences we're talking about, men, period, are more likely to be incarcerated than women.
Yeah.
Men are more likely to be physically assaulted than women. So we're getting into this. First off, this is data. But when we get into the anecdotal that, white men tend to have it better because they can walk around and have weed parties, that's not necessarily accurate. So particularly when we're discussing an issue as sensitive as race, gender, and systemic oppression or inequalities, don't you think it's really important that we get that correct and the premise correct before we go off and divide people by these subcategories?
Yeah, but I think there's tons of statistics out there already, and even if you don't want to look up the statistics, it's not hard to see how many black men are in jail at larger rates than white men.
Do black men commit crimes at a higher rate than men?
Definitely not. That's
No.
just not true.
No?
No.
No, so black men do not commit crimes at a higher rate than white males?
No.
Okay.
See, right there, when he asked the question, do black men commit a crime at a higher rate than white men? They said no. But they're saying that, but you said that black men are in prison at a higher rate than white men. That would then in turn mean that if black men are in prison at a higher rate than white men, that means black men commit more crime than white men. Like, that is factually true. Let's be honest right now. Don't just say stuff just to say it to try to fit your narrative.
Do you have statistics that would reflect that?
I mean, I'm sure I could look them up, but it's definitely not true. It's because racism is built into the system. That's what the system is built against blacks, and that's what racism is. That's why there are more blacks in prison.
Okay, now that's the part where I want y'all to see, where basically this is going to give you the foundation of everything else in this video. But I'm about to skip forward a little bit to where this young brother comes into the scene and started speaking the truth.
Take their shot.
Oh, let me, you know what? Could you sit down for a second?
Sure.
Token black eye. I'm joking. What's your name, man? Sean. All right, Sean. So Sean, I find this, do you agree with what was just stated there as a black male?
No.
Okay, you didn't even have to think about it. With what part do you disagree?
Well, first off, the statistics about black crime and police brutality overly affecting black males. I mean, we have to look at crime statistics. So yes, black males are overrepresented in prisons, but black males are also overrepresented in crime statistics. So black males are 6% of the 6 or 7% of the population.
Right.
6% of the population, because black females are 7% of the population.
I think as total it's somewhere around 13.
Yeah, total is 13.
Yeah.
Already the brother coming in speaking some truth, which If black males make up 6% of the population in the United States of America, then the other 94% is your other races, men and women. We only make up 6%. How is it that we commit more crime than any other race? But the two women previous to this, like, I'm gonna put the link right here where y'all can go check the whole video out yourself. But I just want to talk about this because, like, the two ladies prior to this man coming up, they was basically trying to, in a sense, coddle black people of saying, like, oh, systematic oppression, like, it's hard for black people to get businesses, jobs, to get in school even, which is basically null and void because you have affirmative action as far as us getting into school. But let's keep going.
Yeah, so I mean, if you take all that into account, then you have to consider, okay, so why are they overrepresented in crime? And the reason why, I mean, in my opinion, it's a lot of it is economic, a lot of it is cultural, a lot of it is the opportunities available in their areas, and people can make the argument that it's because of white oppression. I don't necessarily think it's because of white oppression. I think it has a lot to do with the welfare state. I think it has a lot to do with democratic policies and liberal policies, pushing agendas upon black people instead of giving them agency and allowing them to make their own decisions.
Everything that brother just said right there is factual. For one, the reason why we need to stop crying, it's systematic oppression, it's white people, because one, he said economics. Economics is dealing with money. So if it's dealing with money, it's dealing with us getting jobs, right? Now, let's say I'm gonna just say for a prime example, we know that there's drugs being sold out there in our communities. If these men and women were to take their money that they made from selling drugs, selling marijuana or whatever like that, and actually put it into a profitable business, invest it into something, like take that money that you made illegally and let it make you money legally, that means then you can start employing fellow brothers and sisters like you to raise the community. So then he says opportunities in the community, which we do know that a lot of opportunities in the black community is going away because we mess stuff up. Prime example, in my hometown, we had a skating rink. This was when I was younger, like in my teens. We had a skating rink in a hospital. And every time we had a party or every time the skating rink opened, what happens? A fight break out. And then you have somebody out there, with a gun, and then boom, what happened to the skating rink? It closed down. Did it open back up? No, it didn't. Okay, we had a movie theater in the hospital. What happened to the movie theater? Every time you turn around, like, you had people loitering in front of the movie theater. You have fights that go on out there because people from another portion of the county will come over and a fight will break out. We had clubs in a hospital. What happened to them? They closed down because why? Fights and people getting injured and hurt. So therefore, a lot of the businesses leave. So opportunity leaves because we mess it up. Then he said the welfare state. Okay, welfare state. That means your government assistance and so on and so forth. What does government assistance require for a woman to do? Because it's not for men. What does it require for a woman to do? Not have a man in the household, not have a husband, and have multiple kids, and then they raise them up in the community, the said area. That's bad, because I've never seen no one that's on government assistance, that's on Section 8 in a community like where I am now. I've never seen nobody that was on Section 8 in a nice neighborhood with a 2-story house. I've never seen it. Me personally, y'all might have seen it, but I never seen it. So that's the reason why we have the problem that we have, because when you raise them up in the bad neighborhoods, in the bad areas where businesses is going away, what do you have there? Gangs, drugs, and violence. Straight across the board. That's the reason why you have a higher rate of black men in prison than white men.
She left. I was hoping that she would actually hear what you have to say here. Let me ask you, do you attend TCU?
I do.
How did you get in?
I spent 9 years in the Air Force and got a scholarship, full-ride scholarship.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. And what are you studying?
Psychology and philosophy, so I'm actually on the
psychology on the liberal arts side, yeah. Well, listen, if you make less than a civil engineer, don't blame it on a white-black thing. You chose a degree that's kind of rough.
I just want to enjoy my career, whatever it is.
There you go. Well, listen, that sounds like something that would be, especially after 8 years in the Air Force?
9 years.
9 years, jeez. Sorry, look, someone's like, 9. Yeah. Get it right. So you were in the Air Force, this is what got your scholarship. Do you believe that your path was more difficult to TCU exclusively because of your race?
No, I don't think it's because of my race. I think it's because, I was raised by a single mother. My dad left when I was really young.
Sorry.
My mom had to work really hard to, just get me through school. I made really poor decisions early on in life, and the military was really the only way I could go. And honestly, I learned a lot in the military. I got a lot of, I learned responsibility. I learned taking responsibility for my own actions, and I learned agency and taking pride in myself and work hard. Yeah.
Now, the brother just said it, that when he was younger, he was raised by a single mother because his dad left, and Crowder said sorry. His dad left. He was raised by a single mother. She struggled and worked hard to get him, on the right path in a sense. But yet he was still hanging around the wrong crowd, and he messed up he said he messed up in his prior years. But then he joined the military, and when he joined the military, it taught him a lot of things, which I can attest and agree to that. Because when I joined the military, it taught me some things too. Like he said, self-accountability, being responsible, and so on and so forth. I learned the same thing. Like, matter of fact, when I came back from the military, my mindset was different than a lot of the brothers back in my hometown. That's just what it is. When you raised by single mothers, like, they do their best. They do their best because, like, they don't have nobody else there to basically help them. So they do the best that they can to raise you. But whenever a grown-up is not around, it's only one, and there's a grown-up that's not around, what happens? We stray away. We get hooked up with peer pressure. Might start smoking some weed. Start hanging out with the wrong crowd. Might join a gang. And just doing things out of the norm that your mom might not be appreciative of. But you can't complain about it. Why? Because you don't have nobody else there. You don't have a husband. You don't have a man that's there to basically alleviate that burden to where somebody can always be around to guide this child. Like the word of God says, train up your child in the way that they should go. When they get older, they will not depart from it. So if you always have somebody there around to bring guidance to that child, to show them the way, you won't have to worry about all the other mess in the community.
How do you feel about? I'm not totally aware of the scholarship specifically to TCU, but I think everyone is well aware of, and we can agree that there are scholarships obviously afforded exclusively to minorities or women not afforded to, say, the white male. How do you feel about that as a black man? Do you think that helps?
No. Actually, we were just talking about this. Actually, I was.
Well, the Asian, you can't talk with him. They're over. They'd be dominating every math and science department there is.
So I just came from the Bay Area.
Got to build a wall around their neighborhood just so we can keep some people getting degrees. For crying out loud.
It's that Asian privilege.
Yeah, I know.
I just came from the Bay Area in Silicon Valley, and I mean, you see there, like, Asian prosperity is huge.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing really well, and like, good on them. And I think, like, honestly, if the black culture adopted a lot of those tenets of like Asian culture and like, hey, suck it up, like, go out there and get it and do it yourself. And like, it was interesting, like, a lot of rappers supported Trump, and they said the reason why is because they said, that's what Trump is about. He's like, go out there and get it, make your money, do what you have to do to make your money.
Right.
And I think, like, that's, people talk about that, but they don't really go out and do it. And like, there's not a lot of talk about different ways and diversifying your means of income.
Yeah.
There are a lot of opportunities out there if you just go out there and look for them and get it. And honestly, like, people are willing to give black people opportunities.
What he said is 100% true. Like, I can't. It bothers me so much when you always, every time you turn around, you hear people systematic oppression. The reason why we can't get jobs, we can't get businesses, we can't get cars is because systematic oppression. We can't go get loans from banks like that to start a business because of systematic oppression. But yet, every time you turn around, you see a brother or a sister get a loan to get a house. You see a brother or sister get a loan to get a job, to get a business started. You see a brother or sister getting a loan to get cars. Like, why is it that it's like you just want people to hand you money? Like, here you go. Like, you know what? You don't have to do nothing. We'll do everything for you. Here you go. No, go get it, bro. Like, stop complaining and go get it. The more you complain, the more you just letting everything go by you. Like he said, a lot of businesses, a lot of places are giving black men and women more opportunities. We just got to take hold to it and do it. And stop freaking looking for a handout. Give yourself a hand up.
Here's the deal. I understand that there are racists out there,
Oh, yeah,
and I think it's kind of like a child who just misbehaves so often you have to discipline them. You kind of see this with the left. Like if a child behaves well, okay, you don't have to correct them all the time. But when the left constantly just divides by race and by gender, then you have to bounce back and say, well, hold on a second. No, that's actually inaccurate. The truth is, it kind of bars us, it robs us of our ability to be empathetic to someone saying, yeah, you know what, I'm sure you get some tough breaks as a black guy, because we're constantly being told you can't understand and you've gotten everything because you're a white guy. I think it actually burns more bridges than it builds.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree as well. Because every time you turn around, they keep telling you, oh, systematic. Like, just take notice. This is the media, television, the government. Every time you turn around, you hear them systematic oppression. Yeah, they've been oppressed. Yeah, they've been enslaved, and so on and so forth. But we're not the only ones. Like, look at Chinese. Man, Chinese started from the bottom, and now they there. Like, to where now in New York, they have a Chinatown. In California, they have a Chinatown. Like, it's like Chinese are doing the thing. Look at Mexicans. Mexicans cross over from Mexico to United States of America. Start from the bottom to where they have a multitude of people living together in the same house. Start from the bottom, say their money, and now look at them. Arizona, Mexican. California, Mexican. Texas, Mexican. Even certain parts of the like they migrating to different parts of the United States of America, and they got their own businesses. Man, Texas, they got businesses galore down there. California, they got businesses. Like, why? We're basically about the only ones who don't know how to come together, for one, and do as the Mexicans does, for example. And all of us live in the same household, split the bills up together, save our money, and boom, we can start our own businesses like they did. Like, we don't know how to work together. We can't even do partnerships together with your own brothers or sisters or cousins or best friends because they want to get over on you. They feel they make up a lie, say, oh, I feel like you taking too much money, but yet they the ones took money from you.
Utterly.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think Asians think when they're saying you're too much? They're actually that, you know, they only allot a certain amount of Asians in certain programs. I'm sure you're aware of this.
I punished 3 to 5 ACT points, you know, 0.5 GPA going into college. Like, I applied to USC. Me and my friend, and he's African American, I'm white. I'm Asian. We basically had the same exact demographics.
You forgot?
I grew up in white America. And I had a 32 and a 4.5, and he had a 27 and like a 3.8. He got it, and I didn't get in. And we had basically the exact same everything else, just because he was African American, I was Asian, and I got penalized because of my privilege, because I was overrepresented high academic college.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Actually, here, if you want to come up, no, you can stay here. Both. Let's get like a buddy cop film. Sorry.
See, that's something that I don't understand. Like, and that's the thing that bothers me. That's the thing that bothers me about, like, what they're doing to us. They're coddling us. They're making us like babies. Because this young man, he's I think he says he's half Chinese and white or something like that. But anyway, he's Chinese. This Chinese man, and his African American friend both had the same basically scores and whatever like that. Well, his scores were higher. He was like 34.5 and the African American was 27.8 or something like that, he said. But he didn't get in because of so-called privileges. How is he privileged? That man is not even from the United States of America. Just because he's a little bit smarter, that don't make him privileged. That just make him like a little smarter. He's a little bit wiser. Like, that's it. But yet a lot of, like, if you even look at it, even in businesses, even in jobs, they exclude men and women of other nationalities just to, okay, well, we got to get a black man in, we got to get a white man, a black woman in, so that we won't get sued or whatever like that, so that we won't be on the news. It's bullcrap, man.
My hands are freezing. Hold on, the lips aren't blue. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that about your ACT scores and how your friend who was African American got in and you didn't. This is one thing that I've always, and I'm glad we finally, look, we can bridge this racial divide. It's like the black and white cookie, Seinfeld. When you think about that, right, they start locking Asians out because you guys do very, very well academically. Yeah. What do you think that does to the relationship between Asian Americans and black Americans? That's always a concern of mine. I mean, the same thing with white Americans, but particularly, listen, I grew up in Canada, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of Asians behind closed doors, a little bit racist in Canada. I'm sure there's some of that here too. It seems like it would strain relationships, not really bring people together.
Yeah, I know that, like, because like the Asian culture is very academics first, like academics averages, like with the whole shaming your family kind of like concept you see with like white culture,
right?
Like white media, like they talk about, oh, why you're not doctor yet, that comes like kind of like yeah. Which is actually can be very true. So like, cause like, and I know the African American, especially in the inner cities, like academic excellence and achievement is very shunned upon, especially with like the gangs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that creates a big divide, especially on like the income, like ethnic, like for sure, like the top four ethnic groups in America, like the top earners are all Asians, Indians, like Japanese, Thai.
Yeah.
And the bottom tiers are African Americans and Hispanics. And I think it's just it's not because of the systematic racism in America. I think it's all culture. Well, like he said, like his dad left him. Very sorry about that. But like the African American single motherhood rate during the civil rights movement was what, like 13-15% depending on the city, whereas now it's upwards of 70-80% in the inner cities, and that's not because of racism from white people. That's because of the shifts in culture in the inner cities.
Let me ask you, do you agree with what he's saying there?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the soft bigotry of low expectations. When you tell people that, you know, oh, well, you can't do anything in life because you have this overlord above you, oppressing you, then like, what is your, you're not gonna have any optimism. You're not gonna have any aspirations to achieve anything in life,
right?
Because you're like, what's the point? And I think that's told more to black males than it is black females, because there's a statistic that just came out that black females are actually the most educated minority group per capita in the United States.
I did read that, yeah.
Which is like insane. You know, you think about it, it's like, well, how are they oppressed if they're, you know, having, you know.
Unfortunately, that statistic, if you dig into it, includes a lot of the gender studies and that kind of stuff in there. And you're like, well, educated.
Yeah. I mean, that's what is educated mean?
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned sort of cultural differences. If I may ask a personal question, you don't have to answer it, but I appreciate your candor. You talked about sort of the culture of academics. There's also, there's an argument to be made that obviously, specifically like Chinese, the language is more mathematical, so you have more of an advantage there, right? And that's actually kind of true. Have you ever read The Tipping Point? Where it talks about actually the difference in crops between like corn and rice, and how sensitive rice is and how meticulous you have to be when you're cultivating rice versus corn, which is kind of a yield anything crop. So there are cultural differences there that would place emphasis on mathematics, on sciences, but there is a very notable cultural difference, as you talked about, with families where fathers tend to stay in the household with Asian families. So let me ask this, given all the other cultural differences, and this is why I ask, I know you brought it up yourself that you were single mother household. Do you think that having a family structure like you had, having your father be there, would have been probably the biggest determining factor in giving you a leg up compared to everything else we've discussed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Just having that kind of like, that like stern kind of figure in your life, that, that stability there,
right.
I definitely think it would have helped, because, I didn't and people talk about like there's no biological factor to gender, and that's absurd, because having a man in the house has a completely different impression on children than otherwise. Because when my uncles would come over, I would kind of tighten up right away, like, oh, don't act out.
Yeah.
And I think most people that have fathers in the household, like that's their that's kind of the rock. I mean, most men or boys, when they get into puberty, like they're not really afraid of their mother anymore. I mean, I definitely wasn't. So yeah,
I was.
Now I'm gonna stop it right here because like that's a good video to watch, because like you watch it from the beginning, you will see how the different mindset of the women to the men. The men are like, hey, lace up your own bootstraps, let's get it. While the women like, hey, we need handout, yeah, we need help. Like, and like he said, honestly, when he asked the question, do you think that it would be better if you would have had a father in your life? Yes. Even if you ask me, do I think it would be better if I had a father in my life? Yes. Because like for one, my mom did the best that she could. I'm not knocking her, I love her for it. But at the same time, if I would have had a male in my life guiding me and teaching me how to be a man, teaching me how to benefit from working, like, actually applying yourself in school, like actually talking to me and like, hey son, what's going on? Why are you doing bad? Do you not understand it? Or something of that nature. You know what I mean? Or even guiding me and say, hey son, you know what to be, you fix your computer. You fix your computer, you fix your game whenever it broke. You good in football. Like, why don't you do that? Buckle down and do something. I do believe in my whole heart of hearts that I could have been a different man if I would have had a father in my life. If my dad would have been there to show me the way. That's the reason why it goes back to the Bible, where he says, train up your children in the way that he should go. When he get older, he will not depart from it. It's basically telling the men, because that's why even if you look in Proverbs, he says a father chastening his son B times. So that means he corrects him B times. That means he guides him and give him structure B time, before time. Not afterwards, but before time. And if you look at it, when a man tell his child, like the man said in the video, when his uncles came around, he straightened up quick. Like, prime example, my son. When my son was younger, even now, like if somebody say, I'm gonna tell your daddy, he will straighten up. I ain't even gotta be in the presence. I ain't even gotta be on the phone or nothing. He will straighten up if you just say, I'm gonna tell your daddy. Because it's not the more so of the fear factor. It's more so of the respect factor. It's more so of the making your father proud factor. Like, you don't want to disappoint your father. You don't want to disappoint your mother also, but it's like your mother coddles you more. It ain't no bearing on them when the mother, because the mother gonna be like, oh, it's all right, baby, it's okay, you could do. Prime example, the video I did about a week or so ago about why fathers are needed. When the boy failed, he only passed 3 classes in his 4 years. What did mama say? It's all right, rubbing his back. It's all right, baby. It's okay. Like, that's what mothers do. You coddle the child. You try to basically nurture the child in a sense. When you need to put your foot down on them. Like, hey, no. This is your fault. We can't blame nobody but you. Why weren't you putting your foot forward? Why weren't you doing better? But anyway, I just wanted to show y'all this. And I'm gonna put the link in the description of the video with the Mug Club and Louder with Crowder. Changed my mind. Like, it's a good episode to watch, because you could see the difference in the concept of men to women. And also, we need to have this discussion. We need to have the discussion of change, like, in a sense, change my mind. But anyway, I'm gonna say good night or good morning to you all, and I pray that y'all have a blessed and peaceful night rest, or have a blessed and peaceful day. I love y'all. Peace.